All right, let's jump right into a classic from one of the all-time greats, Fyodor Dostoevsky. But here's the twist. We're not going to read the whole book. We're going to see what we can figure out about his story White Nights just by exploring its cover and the summary on the back.
Wow. Okay. The first thing that just grabs you is this incredible cover art. Just look at those swirling clouds, that starry sky. It feels really intense. It sets a tone that's kind of dreamy, but also, a little turbulent. This isn't some peaceful, quiet scene. It feels absolutely charged with emotion.
So when you combine that artwork with a title like White Nights, it immediately makes you ask, what is the secret here? We've got hints of some pretty big feelings, a layer of mystery, so let's start peeling back those layers.
First things first, let's see how this captivating cover connects to the actual story inside. What kinds of clues did the publisher leave for us before we even crack open the book?
And boom, the back cover gives us our first major clue. It describes the book, and you can see the Arabic text right there, as a short, sentimental novel. So right off the bat, we know we're not dealing with some massive epic. We should be expecting a story that's tight, powerful, and laser-focused on feelings.
Okay, so we know the what. It's going to be an emotional ride. Now let's get to the where. The summary tells us it all kicks off with a chance encounter in the iconic city of Petersburg, which, if you know Dostoevsky, is totally his home turf.
And get this, the structure is incredibly focused. The entire plot, the whole shebang, unfolds over just 4 nights. From that first meeting to whatever the climax is, it all happens in this super compressed time frame. That tells you things are going to move fast, and every single word is going to matter.
At the center of this whirlwind are 2 people. We've got our main guy, described as a lonely, romantic young man, our dreamer. And then there's the girl he finds, who's described as crying and already in love. They literally just bump into each other on a street corner, both of them already in a super emotional state from the get-go.
And we're not talking about a slow burn romance here. No way. The connection is immediate, and it is absolute. The text says he fell in love with her from the first moment. It's this sudden, all-in kind of passion, which really sets the stage for everything that's about to happen.
So you have this instant, powerful connection. Happy ending, right? Well, not so fast. This is Dostoevsky we're talking about. This brings us to what seems to be the central and maybe tragic theme of the book: dreams and a failed love.
Now here's a really fascinating detail from the summary. It describes the story as the delirium of a dreamy young man. Delirium. That's a huge word. It tells us we're not just watching a love story, we're actually inside the head of someone who might not be seeing things super clearly.
You see, this dreamer is a classic Dostoevsky character type. He's this romantic soul who lives way more in his own imagination than he does in the real world. And the problem with that is, while you can build these beautiful worlds in your head, it makes you incredibly fragile when reality decides to come crashing in.
And that leads us to this really interesting paradox at the core of the novel. How do you get a successful encounter that leads to a failed love? I mean, how is that even possible? If the meeting was great and the connection was real, what could possibly stop it?
Well, here's the gut punch. The reason the love is doomed is because she's already in love with someone else. She's standing on that corner, night after night, waiting for another man to return. Our dreamer has just fallen head over heels for someone whose heart was never on the table to begin with.
Man, that's rough. So you have to ask, why tell such a heartbreaking story? What's the point? And that, right there, is where we get into the author's real purpose, and what makes this little novel a work of absolute genius.
And you know what? The answer is spelled out for us right there in the summary. This story isn't just about unrequited love. It's being held up as a perfect example of what makes Dostoevsky's work so profound.
See, this simple 4-night romance is really just a stage. It's a vehicle for Dostoevsky's true mission: to dive deep into the human soul, to reveal its hidden depths, and to explore all its messy, complicated corners. The plot is just the tool he uses to perform that psychological surgery.
And it's not just what he writes about, it's how he does it. The summary goes out of its way to praise his unique and beautiful style. Dostoevsky doesn't just show you heartbreak. Through his writing, he makes you feel every single agonizing crack.
And this all leads to one final, huge question that sits at the very heart of the dreamer's experience. The love failed, sure, but for a moment, he experienced pure, unfiltered happiness. And so the novel asks us, is that enough? Can a single moment of absolute bliss be enough to sustain a person through a lifetime of loneliness?
That's the question Dostoevsky just leaves hanging in the air.